Why the fight against ISIS will only continue, by Jocelyn. In the latest development on the war against ISIS, a Kurdish and United States-led raid was conducted in order to free prisoners who were being held hostage by ISIS in northern Iraq. U.S. Secretary of Defense John Kerry signed off on the mission because the people in prison were going to be executed by ISIS the following day. This was a unique circumstance because the mission was only approved and executed after the United States' close ally, the Kurds, pleaded for help. The Kurds' claim proved to be accurate when satellite images showed the already dug graves for the prisoners' bodies. The mission's initial goal wasn't for the American soldiers to engage in combat, but to simply supply the aircraft to fly Iraqi forces to the location. But they had authority to engage in combat if ISIS began to attack the Iraqi forces. This exception is what led to the death of the first American soldier to ISIS as the U.S. forces began to engage in a bullet-filled combat against them. Separately, the United Nations said on Friday that at least 1,000 people were killed in other violence in Iraq in June. Victims include summary executions committed by ISIS and prisoners who were killed by retreating Iraqi soldiers. Reuters put the figure at more than 1,000. For the U.S., it certainly won't be the last engagement with ISIS. As the ISIS crisis continues to escalate, American involvement will only increase. As of now, President Obama has given special orders that do not allow American troops to directly engage with ISIS soldiers. But for all rules, there are certain exceptions. As this recent rescue raid showed, for the U.S. engaging in battle against the Islamic State was permitted through certain circumstances. But the United States has played its cards well. The U.S. has influenced the fight against ISIS by supplying the Free Syrian Army with food, medical supplies, and most importantly, with money. The U.S. may not be directly engaging in combat with ISIS, but it has found ways to make sure they diminish ISIS's power. But is fighting ISIS the best strategy for the United States? To this, Obama's administration will say yes. The 14-year-old war on terror now mainly focuses on fighting against groups that advocate for a total Islamic state. It is these type of groups who will pose the greatest threat to democracy. But America, being one of the world's greatest superpower, is vulnerable to many critiques on its terror tactics. Its attempts to dominate and spread democratic ideals are despised by some cultures and governments. Many claim that the Bush administration's mentality and methodology was counterproductive at home and abroad. It only helped further xenophobic attitudes towards Muslim Americans by labeling them as terrorists. This issue continues not to be addressed by the Obama administration as it continues to fund anti-terrorist groups, further enforcing the idea that terrorism is a constant threat that must always be focused on. But for now, the war on terror will continue for many years until the threat of non-democratic ideals will be eliminated. ISIS will be a constant example of the radical ideas people must oppose, and by doing so, the war against ISIS and other terrorist groups will always be justified.